Good evening, everyone. My name is Rohit, and I'm the co-founder of RAS Consortium. Welcome to the RAS Consortium Research Workshop series on ICMR-STS. So, at RAS, we are dedicated to bridging the gap between research and medicine. We provide a platform of collaboration, innovation, and excellence, ensuring that every member has the resources, support they need to start their research journey. So welcome once again to this workshop, and I hope you will find the session to be enjoyable. Over to you, John.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Rohit. Good day, esteemed colleagues and participants. My name is Can Kuchai. I'm the research lead of RAS Consortium, and it is my honor to welcome you to this enriching workshop. Today, we are privileged to host Dr. Vamsi Chakradhar, Professor of Microbiology at NRIIMS and Director of RAS India Chapter. His profound expertise in advanced literature searches and research proposal developments will undoubtedly provide invaluable insights. Together, we will explore the intricacies of crafting compelling ICMR-STS research proposals and uncover strategies to effectively approach Mantis. Hello, Doctor. Hello, Professor.
Hi guys, good evening to all. I would like to thank our RAS Consortium, all the active members, Dr. Kankut and Dr. Rohit. You have been doing an excellent job taking up something that is not purely academic and para-academic stuff. It's not always easy and it requires a lot of sacrifices. It requires a lot of groundwork and even more than anything else, all the work and no recognition. I agree. Guys, I can guarantee you, you'll all see the fruit in the future. So stay on the path. And with that, we'll start today's presentation. ICMR. You all know what ICMR is. Indian Council of Medical Research. Okay, ICMR is a central body. ICMR has been in functioning since decades. They have been supporting research at different levels, at student levels, at postgraduate levels, at faculty levels. The amount of money they pour in research is ostentatious. I mean, what you have to understand here is it's all actually our money, right? It's all government. How do government gets money? From our taxes. So indirectly, we are all responsible for this research. So we can take pride in that. At least you guys are all students, you are not paying taxes. But don't worry, you'll start paying taxes as soon as you finish your MBBS. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is ICMR puts in a lot of money into research. Not just ICMR, there are a lot of private and public funded organizations in India, outside the country, and there are private individuals who are so active and so interested in research, like Melinda Gates Foundation. One just example, at least you'll all connect with those names. I'm saying that there are so many number of people who fund research in various diseases, various public health concerns in developing countries and underdeveloped countries. This will bring closer to eradication or control of diseases and improving the global health of our population. Sometimes what happens is the amount of money put in a particular disease, it may not connect well with Western world, may not connect well with the countries where the funders come from. But ICMR is not like that. ICMR is an Indian organization. ICMR drives the research in India. They are one of the biggest organizations for funding medical research in India. First time I ever came across ICMR was probably in my third year or fourth year, I'm not sure, way back in 2006 or 2007. That time we did not have actually something called as STS projects as such. It was called different. I forgot the name. I think Student Research Fellowship or something it was called. And the first time we have applied when I was in third year, when I was giving my SPME and AFTAL. Okay, so that time was the first time I ever came across ICMR, and during internship and PG preparation period, I completely forgot or went away from the mind unless we came across some of the MCQs in the explanations or somewhere. Other than that, we never came across ICMR again. Then I started my MD microbiology in Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. So then it has a very common practice there to send their thesis proposals, their thesis protocol proposals to ICMR for funding. So there was an application, it was readily available. Everybody was doing it. My co-PG was doing it. Everybody, my seniors have done it. Microbiology department has not got for the past 4 years any kind of funding. So they were unable to take up that much amount of researches. I always wanted to do some molecular study during my thesis work. So I've always tried to do that. So when I was trying to apply for the research funding for MD thesis, the thing is, it is conducted twice in a year. It is conducted twice a year. 50 theses will be funded per session. So within 6 months of joining your post graduation, you have to send it to the ICMR. So I started giving the application. What I understood was the questions they were asking in the format for applying for the fund. It is basic. It is why you want to do this study. Why do you think this study has got any kind of importance that ICMR should fund this? These were the two important questions that gave. And the first explanation or first short note we have to write about was why you chose your specialty. That was the first one. Second, why do you think this is an important part of research, or why this particular topic is important research in your field? And the third question is, why should ICMR fund this study? They were asking us explanations. Why should I think that my study is important, my research is important, or why they should fund my research? This was the questions they were asking. It was easy for me to answer. It was easy for me to answer because I had a vision. I had a idea how to go about for identifying this particular organism among acute febrile illnesses. This particular infection is very common in the western coast of India. Okay, because of the heavy rainfall in Kerala and Karnataka, there was a severe amount of rainfall, and patients come up with varied manifestations, whether it is just acute febrile illness or fever with rash, petechiae, thrombocytopenia, fever with atypical pneumonia, with ARD, or even meningoencephalitis. It was to the extent patients die because of meningoencephalitis, seizures, and encephalitis and coma. Okay, so we saw this during our initial clinical microbiology postings, and then we identified that this is a major scenario, especially during the June and July months. Okay, because of heavy rainfall, the mite that transmit the disease will increase in number, the population. Because of that, it will cause severe infections among all the individuals, because too much of rainfall, lot of shrubbery. Because of that increased shrubbery, either on the roadways or near the houses or where they work, there is increased mite population that is actually surviving there. Because of this, they are having numerous cases in their area. And since Manipal being a tertiary care hospital, people were sending bad cases or cases they could not read or they couldn't identify there. Back then, we only had a serological investigation to identify this disease. So with the help of my guide, our department HOD, I actually had a proposal of starting a PCRs to detect early, because there was no PCR done during that period in that area. In the entire western coast, there was not a single place where they were able. Maybe probably in Mumbai, there might have been some institute, or maybe in NIV Pune they might be doing. But rest of Kerala and Karnataka, nothing was there. So I went and approached them, and they liked the concept, and then I started my application and then sent it. Luckily, I was selected. I was one of the 50 people who got the MD thesis that year. Of course, if it didn't end positively, the story would have been very bad actually. So what I'm trying to say is, you put your effort, you identify a research question, a problem area, you pick the problem area and start from there. Something that connects with you, something interesting you heard in class about particular scenario or particular case, or some teacher talking about it, or even a particular disease you come across in a TV show or a movie. Doesn't matter where you get the inspiration from. What you need to do is you develop your own enthusiasm, okay, and commitment you need to have. That these two things are enough. You don't have to be brilliant, you don't have to be brainy or intelligent to get a ICMR STS scholarship or a MD thesis scholarship or any kind of stuff, okay, or university grants or anything. No, not required. What is required is hard work and discipline. These two you have, you can do anything. Okay, now let's start. This is me. I am Chakradhar. I have done my MD and DNB, and I also recently acquired another degree, that is CICP, Certified Infection Control Professional. This is valid for 3 years. It is given by an organization called CAHO. Consortium of Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations, a private organization, but it's a very valid degree and very important to have it if you are practicing as an infection control officer like me. And also I'm pursuing the other two in the brackets. ACME is Advanced Course in Medical Education, and I'm also pursuing MBA from BITS Pilani. I do a lot of things parallelly. I'm also a member of Ethics Committee and Medical Education Unit, and also a member of Scientific and Research Committee in my organization. Sorry for not putting the organization name. It is Anil Nirkonda Hospital and NRI Institute of Medical Sciences. Like I said, research is important. But why start in MBBS? And that too, ICMR has pinpointed only first year and second year. Of course, they opened it for third year also now. But still, why do you need to inculcate research at an early age? Because simple. Research, the word itself means it is basically reviewing what is already done, reviewing something that exists and to develop on it. We are not creating or we are not making something new here. What we are doing is what is already there, what I can contribute to it. This is what your research entitles. Okay, how can you improve your critical thinking skills in the process, or critical procedural skills, whatever you can acquire, or critical research skills, how to use statistical tools to implement and analyze the data you get. Nobody will teach you, but the single most tool important for any kind of job after you finish your MBBS or MD or anything is Microsoft Excel. Without Microsoft Excel, you cannot eat, sleep, or do anything. But nobody teaches us Microsoft Excel. That's the biggest problem there. It is mostly self-taught. Luckily, we have YouTube and ChatGPT now to tell us how to use Microsoft Excel. It's okay, but still, nobody teaches us this. This is a life skill rather than a technical skill, if you ask me, Excel. Okay, so critical appraisal of existing literature. That means whatever topic you choose, whatever department or study, whichever is your interest, whatever you choose, and to practice evidence-based medicine, we need to know what is the evidence available. When somebody says evidence-based medicine, what is the evidence? If I say you treat this disease with this drug, it is not evidence. I am not the proof. Where is the proof? A published peer-reviewed material. Peer-reviewed. Who will review this? There is no body or an organization or a person who is competent enough to review everything. That's why we have a mechanism of peer review. So everybody in the field will accept your work as correct or wrong or needs improvement. Why? Because this peer review has much more value than one person actually okaying everything. Because at one particular point, if they don't have integrity or if they lose the competency, then the outcome that comes out of any research or any study or any work will not have any fruit or any validity, and the research integrity is completely lost. We can't have that. We can't have that. So what we need is a peer reviewed, published work is the only thing that has got any kind of validity. Any kind of validity. So exposure to medical research in this level, at a student level, at first year, second year, will impart these skills. For example, when you come across an article that you want to review it, you need to know how to go about and find resources, because nobody knows everything. Even in microbiology, I'm a microbiologist, but even in microbiology, I can't say I'm 100% proficient. It is impossible. I know only part of it, or at least I know where to study if I don't know a particular topic. That's what we want. How do you go about and identify that particular part where you need to improve? Okay, by starting research in this area, in this age, student involvement, it'll improve the outcomes. It'll improve your academics. It might trigger some more interest in that particular area or field where you can later choose it as your post graduation. We don't know. Later, it might, the particular study you do, it might connect well with you. Or if you already have a connection with any particular department or a field, you can start working on it. So you can develop, you can inculcate more data and involvement into it. All this can be easily done with the help of research at your age, and it will develop better bonding with your guides, okay, with your peers, okay, or with your seniors if somebody else is guiding you, and you can develop more network. So when you start working in that way, and thinking in that way, you will end up building a nice network, and it can even help you explore different areas. For example, neurology or anesthesia or any super specialties. You don't have papers in that. You don't write exams in there. But if you end up doing a study in that, you know whether what is the difficulty that you can come across in that area. For example, you want to do orthopedics one day. Of course, you study orthopedics, but still, you want to do orthopedics one day. Maybe going into deep into the research in that particular discipline will give you more insight into the department, and you can make a informed decision whether you can fit into that department or not. I took orthopedics example because I've always wanted to become an orthopedician. And apparently we need to stand for hours together in OT theater. So I chose not to. Just adding a little humor to the process. Now, let's come into the flow of our ICMR STS program. Short-term scholarship program. Okay, selecting a topic, choosing a guide. This is little interesting. Sometimes we choose the guide and then pester him for topic. That also can be done. There is no wrong in that. But like I said, if you want to go about properly in the proper process flow, then topic should come first, guide comes next. Because unless you choose the topic, you will not have an interest in doing it. If you just go and identify a guide and say, sir, give me a topic, or I want to do it in your department and with you only, then you will only end up either you might like the topic. Once you chose the guide, you have no other option of changing it. Whatever the guide say, you have to follow, even if you don't like. And any substance, any kind of research or any kind of work you do without interest will not bear fruits. It will not bear fruit. Coming next point will be online registration of your proposal, and then the topic, and then proposal preparation and online submission of the protocol. Then ICMR will check all that, and you have to meanwhile get your ethics committee approval. It will come back to me anyway if you are in my organization. Then conduct the research study, prepare a detailed report of all your findings, and submit your final report on the portal. And then receive your stipend for the 3 years. That's what your ICMR current program is. That is for first year and second year. And if it is for the third year students who have got the call for proposals later, it is only for 3 months duration study and then 1 year program. Within 1 year, you have to submit your study. So you have to choose your topic based on the timeline also. We'll discuss about time frames. So first today, what we are going to see is only selecting the topic, and how to select the topic, how to come to a topic is what we are going to see today, because all the other process is very easy. Just open this thing and enroll it. That is what you need. But today we'll see how to come to a topic. So how to choose a topic? Like I said, you can first choose the domain, which field you want to do. Is it interventional? Is it analytical? Is it going to be a clinical study, where you're going to interact with patients and get some kind of clinical data? Or is it going to be a cross-sectional study just to get records? Is it going to be a retrospective or a prospective study because you have 3 years time? So you choose the department. Is it going to be biomedical sciences or life sciences or laboratory diagnostic services or clinical research work? Okay, it is not mandatory to choose from which year you are or which subjects you are currently pursuing. Not necessary. So how do you select a topic? By doing a literature search. So how do you search for your literature? Okay, how do you do a literature search? So you'll end up looking all over the place and identify a question. Okay, so how to identify, how to come to this question? Where this will question come from? So when you look for problems, automatically your question will come. Choosing a proper question is the end product or outcome of the topic of discussion today. Today's topic of discussion is literature search. Okay, what is the end point of it? End point is getting to a research question. Research question is nothing but your title. Basically, what you want to do, the title is the research question. To come to the research question, what do you need to do? You need to do a literature search. So first you need to choose which domain you're going to do. Is it going to be a cross-sectional study based on life sciences, basic life sciences, biomedical sciences, Is it going to be diagnostic sciences, biochemistry, pathology, radiology, microbiology, or clinical sciences? So you need to decide what is going to be your domain and then start your search. What you got is a broad topic. This broad topic had to be narrowed. The broad question, what are the problems in orthopedics, for example? What are the problems in diagnostic microbiology? This is a large problem because there might be a lot of problems. Okay. When it comes to microbiology or any laboratory investigation, for example, there are three different steps: pre-analytical, analytical, and post-analytical. So if you ask me problems, I'll ask you which part of the problem. Is it the start? Is it the pre-analytical? Is it the process? Or is it the outcome? Which problem you want to tackle? Then you have to go back to search again. Because when you go with a broader topic, what are the problems in orthopedics? You will end up getting 1,000 articles saying, if you just put that particular issue as problems in orthopedics in a Google search. We'll talk about Google search first. In a Google search, it will give you what are all the orthopedics problems. Some will say osteoporosis, some will say osteoarthritis, something else will say synovitis, something else will say TV spine, something else will say costochondritis, something. Some other articles will talk about pot spine, some other article will talk about the fused spine, some will talk about spondylitis, cervical spondylitis, or lumbar spondylitis, or lumbar lordosis. So much problem you can face in one particular broader question. So you want to refine them. You'll get maximum number of articles, but the problem is you will not get specificity. You won't get specific problems to deal with or get into research. Because if you start out to target all the problems in orthopedics, one lifetime may not be sufficient to tackle them. So narrow it down, bring it down, make it more relevant. The question should become relevant. For example, you cannot worry about problems that are not very common in India or in this current scenario. You cannot do research on plague now because you hardly get any plague unless there is a rat infestation somewhere and a big issue. There won't be a plague problem in India. So you can't concentrate on that. Concentrate on something that is relevant. Concentrate on something, some issue that affects your community, because once you start study, you need to get data. Where will you get data? Only with the current case scenario, you can get data. So if there is no problem, if as such it's not a big issue, then you can never get number of cases. Your study will never be complete. All you'll end up doing is fabrication. Again, I'm not talking about the conduct of research. Maybe we can go for some other topic some other time. Okay, so what you need to do? You need to refine your question. Refine. What is refining? Making it better. So you refine. You take crude oil, refine it, and you get petroleum. So same way, you refine. Okay, whether I can do this study as a second year graduate or first phase 1 student or phase 2 student, can I finish this study? Can I do this study along with my studies, along with my other works, along with my assignments, internals, final exams, all those things? Will I be able to do it? Feasibility. There is, for example, a lot of hepatitis cases comes or diarrheal diseases come. You want to see if any of these diarrheal diseases are caused by adenovirus. So you want to see stool sample under an electron microscope to see adenoviruses. Do we have electron microscope? No. We don't have a single electron microscope in any of the medical colleges or hospitals in Andhra Pradesh. Not possible. You cannot. None of the medical colleges in Andhra Pradesh have even a scanning electron microscope. They don't have. So how will you do it? Where's the feasibility? Zero. Your study may be good, your proposal may be good, it may be relevant, but feasibility, zero. Is it interesting enough? If you want to do a study on dandruff, seborrheic dermatitis, what is a causative organism? Is it interesting? No, it is boring. We all know dandruff comes and dandruff goes. You use any candid shampoo or any kind of antifungal shampoo, it will get treated. There's nothing interesting about it. And novelty. Is my study new enough? You need not do anything to death. Okay. For example, whether a particular, let's say, some side effect, like how many of the NSAIDs are causing gastritis? Of course, NSAIDs are going to cause gastritis. Why do you want to look for that? Novelty should be there. There should be something you are trying to add new to the topic. Of course, not everybody can come with a novel idea. It's not possible. So what you can do is you can modulate the topic in such a way that you can present it as an important question. How can I make this particular problem relevant now? Or how can I make it novel? Any particular facet of the problem is not dealt before. Any particular view of the disease not approached before. That you can add as a research question. Relevance, interesting topic, feasibility, novelty, and of course ethical. If it is not ethical, you won't even cross the process of protocol. So don't have to worry about that. So is it ethical to do this study or not? If you want to do an interventional study, you want to do a clinical study, the ethics come into play, the permissions come into play, clinical trials, CTRA has to approve all your work and all that. Whether is it possible to do it? One student approached me to study development of disease like diabetes or chronic diseases in patients. Okay, in patients. We discussed. It was a good idea. It was a great idea actually. But the problem is feasibility, timeliness. It cannot be done within the stipulated 3 years time or 6 months spread over 3 years. It's not possible to do in that time. Even though the idea was novel, the idea was relevant, the idea was ethical and interesting, what was missing was feasibility. Feasibility. So you have to check all facets of that problem. Only then you can go ahead and conduct any kind of study. This is another PICOT framework. It is called as to formulate your question. Your question should contain what population you are testing, what is the indicator you're going to look for or intervention you're going to do and study. Okay, there should be a comparison group, whether you're going to study an intervention between two groups or whether you're going to identify in any particular group or comparing it between two groups. What is the outcome of interest? What are you expecting outcome? If you are looking for presence of anemia in pregnant women, what is the outcome you want to look for? You want to look for what is the effect on the fetal and maternal outcomes. Whether mother had any complications in the last trimester, whether newborn has any problems, any congenital malformation or congenital problems, or any kind of neonatal diseases or malnutrition or intrauterine growth retardation or stillbirths. So you want to see the outcomes. And very important, you have to keep the time frame possibility in the question. You have to make sure whether the time frame is possible for that particular type of study you're going to take up or the research question you're trying to formulate. Okay, that is very important. Now let's see an example. This will be a research question. I'm not talking about a topic here. It is the research question we are discussing. Okay, between the ages of 5 and 18, that is the your population. Children of parents with diagnosed mental health issues at increased risk of depression or anxiety compared with children of parents with no diagnosed mental health issues. Everything is there here clear. The population study is children between the ages of 5 and 18. Okay, indicator, what you're trying to indicate or what you're trying to identify here, parents diagnosed with mental health issues, and another group is parents with no diagnostic mental health issues. What is the outcome? Increased anxiety or risk of depression in the children between the ages of 5 and 18. Okay, time frame. And this time frame may not be always relevant, may not be always needed. So sometimes it is called as PICO framework also. The T is removed. So if it is T, then it is PICOT. If it is not, it's just PICO framework, where they will only concentrate on the population, indication or intervention, the comparison group, and the outcome. So here they want to see the development risk of depression or anxiety in patients with mental health issues and without mental health issues in the age groups of 5 and 18, because until 18 it is pediatric age group. So they want to explore that particular part. The problem they have taken here is depression or anxiety in children. The domain they have chosen is clinical research. Clinical research among children. So it's a pediatrics department, let's say, or pediatric psychiatry or psychiatry department. They wanted to concern that particular domain, and then they went about, did a literature search and found one of the risk factors for development of depression or anxiety in children was status of the mental health of the parents. So they've identified two groups with mental health issues, without mental health issues, and tried to identify whether the children are developing any kind of depression or anxiety. So probably they'll use different types of assessment scales and all are available to check for anxiety or depression or any kind of mental health issues and study participants. I hope everybody got this particular concept of PICO framework. Now, going into the part of our research. Now, I told you why you're doing research. Why you're doing, what is the outcome? Research problem, the research question. Okay, research question, you will derive title. We are not discussing that part. The part we are trying to discuss is search part, the literature search part. Now we have coming to the actual proper topic. Finish fast, don't worry. I don't want to bore you. I want to just give you the outline so that you can perform this on your own to come up with a proper idea. Okay, now literature search and literature review. You might have heard both of these words. Search, basically, whatever data is available, whether it is in the internet, whether it is physically in your library, wherever it is, that is literature search. Identifying them, looking for them, finding them. Now, review, as simple it is, reviewing it, analyzing it, the published data that you have got from the search you conducted. So you conduct a search, you get some articles, put it into a folder, start reviewing them. That is your literature review. When you write it, it is scientific writing of your reviewed literature. Now, what are the steps in? There's a 6-step process. Some articles give you 7-step process. Some people have not mentioned anything, just a flowchart of various steps. There are miscellaneous steps. So I have taken from one particular publication somewhere that I felt relatable. Okay. So identifying the key concepts of your topic or research question. So now you identified a problem area or you chose a domain. Now you want to add synonyms, add related words for the terms you want to identify. For example, we are discussing ortho, right? Osteomyelitis, osteoporosis, bone weakening, bone infections. Now, these are different terms for similar medical terms or similar medical words. Now, you can use these search terms, and whenever you hit a search engine with a term, with a text word, it will try to search its matrix and give you back results, right? We all know how Google works. So when you do this, what you get is very raw data, very raw data. Now what you do, you add little search techniques to it. You add search techniques to it, like a Boolean operators like and, or, okay, not, okay. Osteoporosis, not, for example, bone resorption. Osteoporosis, but not bone resorption. If you put this, it will give you pure osteoporosis without taking up any kind of studies which have included bone resorption as well. Okay, because bone resorption could be due to other reasons, other metabolic reasons. So you're trying to improve your search results. These are called as search techniques. It's something like truncation, like when you add without or excluding any word that is negating, it is called truncation because you are narrowing it down, we are trunking it down. So it's called as truncation. Then selecting proper databases. Now, I just kept on saying Google, 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 right? Because how reliable is Google? You know what all databases? Databases are entire encyclopedic collection of all the data pertaining to one particular field or one particular medical area. For example, Cochrane Library. Cochrane Library will have every randomized control trial ever conducted in the world. Okay, every study will be put up there. It will contain everything. Then you choose the database. If you want to use as PubMed Central, stick to PubMed Central. If you want to use PubMed, not PMC, you want to go for PubMed, go for PubMed, stick to it, and then you use your keywords to get the proper data. Then after you get the search, every time you search something, even in Amazon, when you search for laptop, it will give you a big page with the left-hand side menu showing lot of filters. You can add budget there. You can filter RAM size. You can ask for a graphics card. You can give whatever kind of, whether you want a touch display, OLED display, or IPS panel. You want RGB backlighting, or you want Intel graphics or NVIDIA graphics. So we all know that. We all know that how to define. Same thing with mobiles. Same thing with mobiles, Android or Apple, whatever it is, whatever OS you want, whatever processor you want Intel processor or AMD processor, Okay, so whenever if it's a gaming laptop, do you want anything else extra? You want extra speakers, what type of sound system it has, so you can check everything there. That is refining your search results. You're filtering it. You can add language, you can add date. Last 5 years data only you need. You filter it. You need only most recent data. You filter for the last 5 years data or 10 years data. Only get that much. You don't have to go back, or you can't get reliable data about COVID before 2019. Okay, so you can't go back. You need not go back. You can only search from 2020, January. Enough. And then after doing all that, adding your exclusion criteria and whatever filters you use, you'll get a final selection of 3 or 4 laptops, whichever is in your budget, you will buy now. Yes or no? Same way, you do it for your research question also. You identified a topic, you identified a area, domain. Then you added your keywords, related words, synonyms, abbreviations, acronyms, whatever you can find. And then you used Boolean operators or truncations, where words which will remove unnecessary things. All you do this in a proper database. And then after you get results, refine them, and finally select which are the few articles you want, from where you can do the review and come to a conclusion about this is the key part of the topic or the domain I want to explore. So what do we normally use for searching? Existing literature. Google Scholar we use, PubMed, Ovid Discovery, like in case of our entire UHS library, online library, we can use that. But there is no endpoint to it. Okay, there's no endpoint. Internet is like a fire hydrant. You're going to be thrashed with data. The moment you put in Google, the Google will expand Google, right? What is all those O's? These are different pages. So much of articles will come. Most of them will be irrelevant. It is very time consuming to go through all that, and you don't know when to stop. You have got enough proper data. I can stop now. You will not know what the stopping point is. Google search is like that. Never take up any articles from Google search. You need to use a structured database that will enable you to properly get the documents that you want and the type of topic you're trying to get at. Okay, go for Google Scholar rather. Even you can get downloadable citations and bibliographic managers where you can go back and see what are the references for that particular article. You'll get citing informations. You can get links to the specific items that you find in the articles. All this you can get on Google Scholar, but you cannot get all this into Google. And you cannot limit only to journal articles in Google. If I start as a blog about neurosurgery, it will show as a factual data on Google. It is getting access to my web page with my blogspot, and it will just put up information as a fact information. So don't trust Google. As simple as that. Medical issues, don't trust Google. Install Medscape, install Med search engine, this thing on your phone. Use that. It's better. Don't use ChatGPT. Don't use commercial available search engines for medical information. Never do that. If I start a neurosurgery, what do I know about neurosurgery? I don't know anything. If I start just blabbering on a piece of paper, on a piece of script on the internet, and start writing everything I need, comes to my mind, that will be picked up by Google and will show it to you as a document from a website. How do you know its reliability? You will not. So go for structured databases like Google Scholar, like PubMed, like Cochrane. That is what you need to get. Full text published articles. Some will only provide you abstracts and references. That's all. You will not get the content of the data. So you need to choose proper website for getting this thing. Some are paid content, some is free, some are print, some are electronic. Some will have books, theses, journals like Elsevier Clinical Key. It will give you both books and also journals. And some may have only conference presentations, like if you go for some ASICon, like for dermatology or any other like microbiology. You go for these conference websites, then you can get presentations that various faculty or various researchers have done during that particular conference. You can get that also from there, because that is a very rich source of research questions. Conference presentations. You can get an abstract of any other conference and see the magazine what they give you, manual they give you at the end of your this thing. It will contain all the abstracts and titles of various studies. From there also you can get information. So this is the pyramid. from unfiltered information to filtered information. You can go from this to this, from here to here, the level increases. This is the topmost. This is where you get very narrow data. Randomized control trials are the pinnacle of research. Any outcome from a randomized controls trial, you can take it in a textbook and print it and publish it. That data will be very reliable. But if you go here, case reports. Case reports are basically, I see a case, I diagnose it, and I present it as the diagnosis. There is no control to see that my diagnosis is correct, whether the patient presentation is correct. Patient might be complaining of a symptom which he even doesn't have. So they're unreliable. So the reliability increases, but it is very narrow. Very less evidence will be available. I'll even show you an example of a particular study, how it will turn up. So I was talking about PubMed. So PubMed contains something called as Medline, which is the largest subset of PubMed, which will contain nearly over 20 million references and journals dating back to 1946. PubMed Central is full text biomedical and life science journals. It is a part of PubMed, launched in 2000, which is a free access database. So this is how your PubMed page will look like. If you go here, PubMed tutorials, if you go into this particular part, you can see how to do a database search, how to filter your results, how to get to the particular articles which you want. You click this advanced, it will show you what all filters available for you to understand that. And you can start utilizing them. This is your PubMed Central. It contains around 2.9 million articles. It will show all the journals available here. This is also part of PubMed, but this is for the common public. This is what I'm saying. You can use this one, Medline Plus. In US, it is Medline Plus. In India, you can use Medscape, which is also part of that, part of Medline. For example, if you search for osteoarthritis of knee in PubMed, it will give you 13,886. This is something called as mesh topic, MESH. You might have come across this. It is basically nothing but medical subject headings. Okay, so anywhere you type this, it will go into a mesh network and will give you these many articles present in PubMed. Now you are refining your search. You want randomized control trials on arthroscopic surgery for this osteomyelitis of the knee that included placebo surgery as a control. That means now what you have done is you have done your PICOT framework and giving you as a search. You're using the intervention and a placebo control group in the population osteoarthritis of the knee patients. This is the population. This is the proper question framework, and it gives you approximately 9 articles in PubMed. That means it is very limited. So the narrower you go, the evidence available also will become lower. Okay, then you type this one, randomized control trials for arthroscopic surgery in Latino women with type 1 diabetes. You have narrowed it even more. Now there are no articles in PubMed. There are no articles in PubMed. That means that particular area is not searched enough. It is not published enough. So now you can take this particular thing as a question and then go with the study if you want to get a novel topic. Now this is a database. I tell you, it's usually an electronic filing system. Okay, it will have multiple records and file various journals and articles and data, whatever pertaining to any kind of studies. Okay, these are all various databases: DOAJ, Science Direct, MBAS, Scopus, PubMed, British Medical Central, Google Scholar, JSTOR, Absco Health. All this will give you a proper search results, where you can utilize them for developing a question. Okay, evidence-based databases like Cochrane Library for any kind of healthcare evidence for treating. As I said in the starting, when I say treat this condition with this drug, you should not directly trust me. You have to go on this website and see where this particular drug was used, in what type of study it was, identify it, and then whether my statement is checking correctly with the available database, then only you can act on it. Otherwise, you have to work on it. You cannot make it as a recommended treatment. You can only use it as a clinical trial. Now, these are again various with the links. I'll share the PowerPoint also. You can use these links to open them, but you just take a screenshot of these things. You can still use them. Okay. One interesting thing about Zotero, I'll tell you. So whenever you are worried about citations, whether particular data you are unable to get, or whenever somebody turns up saying that this is a plagiarized content, you go on Zotero and identify a particular citation for that. It is a freely available thing. You put the data and it will find a citation for you. You can get a reference for that particular article. Okay, keyword search. We started our discussion with keyword search and also Boolean search. You can use this terminology like and or not for refining your studies. Now, if you see this one, when I say coronavirus or Wuhan on PubMed, I'm getting around 1 lakh results. When I put only Wuhan, I'm getting 86,000, and only coronavirus, I'm getting 15,000. This was starting probably on the starting of the pandemic. Now, if I put coronavirus, not Wuhan, that means you are excluding the articles that has both coronavirus and Wuhan and only filtering only coronavirus. Now, see here, nearly 300 articles have come down because they all mention Wuhan along with coronavirus. You don't want to do anything with this, but only want to see about coronavirus. You get 14,000 trials. Now, you want to see coronavirus and Wuhan. That means when both are there, then you're getting that 300 number, nearly 269 results you are getting from this particular part. So this is what is Boolean search. You get and you get B and the intersecting part and A and intersecting B. But if you say or, then you get either A completely or B completely with the intersecting part. But if you want only the intersecting part, you put and you'll have the lowest amount. When you put not, then you'll only exclude this one, A not B or B not A. You'll be excluding the intersecting part in any one of the words. In this way, you can identify or filter your searches. So we're talking about sensitivity and specificity, right? More sensitive particular this thing is you'll get more number of papers, but the problem is you'll miss important papers because of the volume. When you go more specific, what happens is sometimes you may lose relevant papers. Disadvantage is you're unable to get proper references. So you have to balance between sensitivity and specificity. You refine with the age, you refine with the type of reviewing, whether it is academic journals, usually will not have any kind of peer review process. Like I told you about conference articles and all that, they are called as academic journals or academic publications. They do not have any kind of peer review process. Peer reviewed journals, of course, there will be. So published articles you can have in peer reviewed journals. And the type of language, you can filter based on language also, because many of studies that are done outside of English speaking countries also will be translated into English and put. So sometimes it will be very difficult to get any kind of data from there. So thank you for listening, guys, and I'm open for questions now.